your Twitter handle.
Okay.
And then just
okay.
A few details about
All
your
right.
life, like your dogs and stuff like that.
Okay. Hey.
Yeah.
Okay.
So look at me.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Hey, I'm Steve, member of MMA Twitter. I enjoy going on MMA Twitter every day. It's part of my life. About 10 years ago, my wife passed away, and I was in a low point, and I was just sitting around the house, not doing much, just, kind of upset at things that happened. And my kid said, "Hey, Dad, you should try Twitter." And I was like, what's Twitter? And they showed me Twitter, and I was like, "Oh, that's kind of neat." And then I found MMA Twitter, like subsection of Twitter. And it was like amazing because everyone was talking about everything I like to talk about. So I started immersing myself in that a bit more each day, and I got to become an integral part of my life. So now here we are 10 years later. I have like 17,000 followers, and it's become part of my life. Like I go on every day for, say, an hour and a half, talk to people about MMA, feel good about, what we're talking about, try and be a positive influence because there's so much negativity on the internet. It just drives you nuts how everyone can just, fighting, belittling. Like I'm not about that. So I just try and bring a positive influence and enjoy going on as much as possible.
Relax. that answer was actually incredible.
It was amazing.
That was a perfect answer.
All right.
But I can tell. Take a breath.
Okay. Yeah, I am nervous.
That's okay.
No,
That's okay.
Good. That was a perfect answer. I have a question. Were you already a fan of MMA?
Oh, yeah. Me and my wife, we used to go to the Walker Theater downtown here. We'd pay $20 and you'd see UFC 1, and they'd sell beer. And you had to be an adult. You had to be 18. And it was the ones in Colorado years ago. And we'd go watch it, and it was amazing. Like, that's how I first got introduced to it. My wife and son passed away within 6 months, just to set the stage 10 years ago. And I got super depressed. I lost my firstborn son. I lost my wife within a 6 months period. And it was just hell. My son went missing and has never been found on December 18th, 10 years ago. A week before Christmas, of course. My wife had died in July. And my life just I wasn't a happy person. I was just sad. I was just, my kids suggested game. I wasn't a gamer. I had no real hobbies. I had 2 back surgeries. I used to have a love of jiu-jitsu. I couldn't do that. I couldn't work out. So I was just kind of stagnating, like really. And my kids said, "Hey, Dad, why don't you try Twitter?" And I, "Well, what the hell's Twitter?" And, I went, I don't need Twitter. Technology, bah humbug. I don't need that shit. And then I went on it. I looked at it a couple times. And for the first month, it was like, meh. And then I found MMA Twitter. And I was like, oh, man, people are just sitting here and they just talk about MMA predominantly. And I was like, I can get into this. And I started just watching and listening, making a few friends. And then out of the blue one day, Dana White followed me. And I was like, what the hell? That's so weird. Why the hell would he follow me? And I was like, I don't even know if he runs his Twitter. Like, is this even him? And so everyone said, yeah, that's real. That's real. And I said, oh, that's weird. And then I had Stipe and a couple other fighters follow me. And I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. And I started getting a little community of friends. We talk MMA each day. And it's kind of like dropping a rock in a pond. And now we're out here and I have a whole bunch of followers. And it's crazy to me that many people would give a shit what I have to say, because honestly, I'm not that interesting. Like I told you how I got on here. It's like, it's not a great story. I was just sitting in my house depressed because I lost a lot in my life. And, I found MMA Twitter, and it's not like it doesn't give me a purpose to get up every day. It's not divine intervention, but, it was close. At the time, I really was not in a good place. And it did pull me out, maybe start living again. So for that, I'm very grateful. Yeah, me and my wife originally would go together, like as date night or wherever, we'd go watch MMA back in the day when you could only find it at a place that could get the pay-per-view, and then you'd pay money to watch. And it started like that, and then now, like all my kids, since they've been little, like I'd be watching, like WEC or King of the Cage or Bodog Fights or, UFC. And then they started watching. But it's funny because my kids were little, they call MMA UFC. Like there's no distinguishing. Like there's no MMA. It's just UFC fighting. It's like, I train UFC. It's like, no, wait, you don't train UFC. It's funny how kids think. But yeah, there was never any WWE in our house. It was always like UFC. And like tonight, they're all saying all their friends are going to my house. There's people coming. A couple friends from Twitter are coming. So yeah, usually on a Saturday night when there's a big card, my house is just packed. We do a big family dinner. All my daughters cook. We all eat and have a good time. Yeah, so yeah, they're all involved. Like I said, I want to get my 1-year-old grandchild into BJJ as quick as possible. So yeah. It's to watch him grow up has been amazing too. That's kind of like my story with Patty. And our relationship's grown over the years. And when he got kicked off Twitter for being like fighting trolls, or he's the kind of guy that if you say something to him, he's going to give it back. He's not going to sugarcoat it. He's going to tell you exactly how he feels. Yeah, he'd been kicked off Twitter, and he went on his podcast and said that he missed our conversations and missed us talking and stuff, and put a shout out. And that day my phone was going crazy, bing, 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 bing. And I said, what the hell's wrong with my phone? So I sent a message to Next Generation in Liverpool. I sent a message to Molly. I sent a message to his manager, giving them my email. So I don't know whoever got it to him, but finally he got it. He emailed me. He said, here's my personal number. Don't give it to anyone, please. Just contact me. So I contacted him, and we've talked every day since. Like, if you look at my phone, we talk every day. And it's crazy that me and him become this good of friends just over MMA. It's been quite a journey, and it's an honor to actually have him in my life. Like, he's been a real big positive force in my life. You know how he talks about mental health? He lives it. He doesn't just talk about it on TV. He's actually a guy, who cares about people's mental health. Like, when I was in the hospital yesterday for my test, who's the first guy to message me? Are you okay, Patty? He's just that kind of human being, and it's really cool to take it for what it's worth. But in my opinion, there's not a better guy than Patty the Batty. So, yeah.
Do you have like a fighter aside from Patty? Because obviously there's that.
Dustin Poirier.
Dustin Poirier is your favorite?
Maybe. Dustin, Chuck Liddell back in the day, GSP, of course. I like Team Tompkins a lot. I think they did a lot for Canadian MMA. It was sad when Sean Tompkins left us. But, yeah, I'd say today, Dustin, Max. But, yeah, I'd say Dustin.
What do you think the best, like, you've been to obviously a few events?
Yeah, probably 7, 8.
What was your favorite one?
GSP in Toronto at Skydo.
129.
Yeah.
That's a monumental one. What was it? Why was it better than the
Well, I just think that the whole, like, 50,000 people, the hematoma, Jose Aldo, GSP, just, I don't know, the whole, that's just when I realized how immersed I was in MMA, and like just how much it's a lifestyle and how much I love it. I remember you used to wear the Hayabusa shirts, and you get the GSP clothing, and like, well, yeah, exactly, man. Back in the day, it was amazing. Like, yeah, just to watch GSP make the walk, there's nothing like it. Like, time stands still watching. Like, he was such an icon and a Canadian like legend. Like, there's no other word for it. Like, who? Like, people say Khabib, Anderson, who really did what GSP did? In my opinion, no one. GSP's the GOAT.
Do you ever feel like now that you got Dana White and stuff, do you ever feel like there's like a pressure on Twitter, like, oh, I can't say this or
oh yeah, sometimes like I go to jump into a debate and it's political or something, like, well, no, I don't want to get involved in that, because like,
just stick with MMA.
Yeah,
okay, good.
Yeah, and I try and be positive. Like, I don't try it. Like, I don't like jumping on people. I don't like, I don't like the mob mentality where somebody does something and everyone's out on them. I just try and stay away from all that. I just try and be myself, try and be authentic to who I am. And that's all I can do. But like, everyone says, oh, it's so toxic. I just try and stay away from it. I feel if you don't feed into it, what you give out predominantly is what you get back. If I just try and stay away from the nonsense of it all. Because you can fall into like abyss of like hatred and anger. But like, life's too short. And I've personally learned that. Like, life can be gone tomorrow. We were living in Squamish, British Columbia, and just the amount of money it cost to live, the cost of living was just insane. And they just got awarded the Olympics to Whistler. And Squamish, as you know, is probably 40 kilometers down the highway. And I was just talking to my wife, and I said, we're struggling here. We're both working full-time. We're just working paycheck to paycheck. We're banking no money. The kids have no extracurricular activities. I said, why don't we go somewhere in central Canada where it's not so expensive, where the cost of living is livable, where both our jobs are transferable. And she said, well, do you think so? And I said, yeah, it'd be halfway between your family, halfway between my family. We'll leave it either in Alberta or Manitoba. And I went to a travel agency and I got some brochures. So I had 3 brochures, Edmonton, Calgary, and Winnipeg. And I put 2 in my back pocket and I held 1 behind my back. And then she chose, I think it was in my left back pocket. And I pulled it out and it was Winnipeg. And then we decided to move to Winnipeg, and we've been here. Well, she passed away, sadly, 10 years ago, but we as a family have been here for 24 years now. So that's a little tidbit of how we got here.